broken clock on the back wall, counting down till the last bell rings. You lock the door with the plastic smile, say this is just our little secret thing. Ink stains on my test paper, your hand leaning where it shouldn't be. You twist the rules like a gold ring, say it's love, say it's meant to be. Leave the kids alone, you're not a savior, you're a thief of home. Predator in school clothes, life in a cage is the place you go. See ya, Chomo, see ya, Chomo. We need justice, not a whisper, sorry, go. Leave the kids alone, leave the kids alone. You hide behind a chalk halo, fake men are on a crooked throne. They call you ma'am, they call you sir, you use that power, strip us to the bone. Female face, male face, same crime, same cold eyes when the door clicks shut. Courtroom shrug, they were almost grown. Light little sentence, deep little cut. Leave the kids alone, you're not a savior, you're a thief of home. Predator in school clothes, life in a cage is the place you go. See ya, Chomo, see ya, Chomo. Need justice, not a whisper, sorry, go. Judge with a tired handshake, gavel falls like it's half awake. You get years, we can count on hands. We get scars, we can't understand. Names on a list, they move you towns. Paper walls, you still prowl around. Kids in rows like loaded guns. You pull the trigger, then you run. Leave the kids alone, you're not a savior, you're a thief of home. Predator in school clothes, life in a cage is the place you go. See ya, Chomo, see ya, Chomo. We need justice, not a whisper, sorry, go. Leave the kids alone, leave the kids alone, leave the kids alone.
Just when you thought you could turn your back and walk away, the dark cloud of human indignity follows you. You have no choice but to turn and look it in the eye. It's the sex offender hit list.
A convicted sex offender was released in Fairchild today. Todd Nicolai will live at a home on Highway 10. That is according to the Clark County Sheriff's Office. Nicolai's crimes involved child pornography. As part of his release, he'll be under intensive supervision and electronic monitoring.
A Canadian man has been arrested in Lynchburg for child pornography. According to Lynchburg police, Cole Gorrill faces multiple charges relating to possessing child pornography and using a communication system to facilitate certain offenses involving children. He's being held at the Blue Ridge Regional Jail without bond.
A shocking moment caught on camera in Italy when a man tries to snatch a one-year-old child at a supermarket. Take a look, it is troubling. You can see the person grabbed the little girl violently as she was walking out of the store with her mother. The mother held on tight to that girl as the man carried her away. This led to a frantic shuffle with bystanders rushing in to help. Italian state police say officers quickly arrived and arrested the man. Oh my goodness, he is now charged with attempted kidnapping and aggravated assault. Authorities say the little girl was taken to the hospital and treated for a fractured femur.
Justin, thank you. One of our hometowns, people took the law into their own hands to bring a child predator to justice. A Narrows man has been charged with soliciting a minor. The charges because of a group committed to children's safety. WDBJ7's Lindsay Cook has that story.
Sean Haga, a 19-year-old man from Narrows, is in jail. For months, Haga thought he was texting a 12-year-old girl about sex. In reality, he was texting someone from the group The Predator Poachers. Alex Rosen is part of that group.
We pose minors online, and predators from across the country message us under the assumption that we're minors. And then they say a lot of gross things, and we approach them in person. We hope to get them to admit to that plus more. And we turn over the evidence to law enforcement.
Rosen says Haga would initiate conversations about sex and ask to meet for the purpose of having sex.
We're posing as prepubescent children for a specific reason. So we catch straight up pedophiles, no question about anything else. And he admitted to everything.
Rosen's group confronted Haga in December, recorded the conversation, and took it to police the next day. Court documents say officers then talked to Haga. He admitted to sending the messages. Haga is currently being held in New River Valley Regional Jail, awaiting a bond hearing.
I hope the judge keeps him on no bond. These predators are known to keep offending even when they're on bond.
Haga's attorney tells me he believes the bond hearing will reveal important information about his client's background and mental state. That hearing is set for Wednesday. In Giles County, Lindsay Cook, WDBJ7.
Okay, this is Christopher Haywood. He looks familiar. It's because we covered his arrest and his conviction. Well, now it's sentencing time. Let's check it out.
This Omaha man will spend decades in prison. He's convicted in a sexual assault case involving 3 child victims. Christopher Haywood was sentenced to 45 to 60 years for multiple counts, including first-degree sexual assault of a child. He'll be eligible for parole after 45 years. Haywood was arrested in 2023 after an armed standoff at Mount Sinai Cemetery.
At 6 tonight, Concordia police arrested 21-year-old man for child sex crimes. David Brown taken into custody Friday morning on a warrant for charges including rape, indecent liberties with a child, and giving alcohol to a minor. Concordia police say the arrest followed an extensive investigation into crimes against children. Officers say he did use an alias, Axel Brown. Police are asking parents to talk to their children to see if they've had any contact with David or Axel Brown. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
A man is in custody on aggravated sexual assault of a child charges. Officials say they responded to a report of suspected sexual abuse involving a child. 46-year-old Isidoro Figueroa Martinez was arrested on February 13th. His bond is set at $100,000.
A Melbourne primary school principal convicted of child sex offences will spend just 3 months behind bars after a sentence that left parents fuming. Border Force arrested the 50-year-old at the airport as he arrived home from the United States.
The final steps of freedom for a paedophile principal caught and sentenced on child abuse charges.
Disgusting. Karma.
After a trip to the US in January last year, 50-year-old Richard Barron was pulled up at the border. At the time, he was principal of Langwarrin Park Primary School. The AFP found child abuse material on his mobile phones. He'd been using the dating app Grindr to send and receive text-based child abuse material over a 13-month period. Then in his downloads folder, police uncovered 2 videos and 2 images of children aged 10 to 13 being abused.
My children, they don't feel safe. He was meant to be one of their safe people at that school.
Barron's own lawyers admitted it was abhorrent and vile.
There's kids traumatised from even them knowing that he was watching them.
A teacher since 1998 and also a father. He'll serve a total of just 3 months behind bars.
I don't feel it's good enough.
The fear was that he was going to be let off scot-free.
Barron kept his eyes closed for much of the hearing, taking deep breaths, but it's unlikely he's overwhelmed by guilt. The assessing psychiatrist believes his sense of remorse and insight into his offending is only developing now.
School leadership knew about it, was reported to them.
The fact that he will be going to prison is hopefully a deterrent to any other predators out there.
Jacqueline Stanley, 7 News.
In other court news, a Toma man is sentenced for child sex crimes. According to the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, 57-year-old James Ossinger was sentenced to 24 years in prison. The DA says this sentence is in connection with Ossinger's repeated sexual assault of children and possession of child pornography. Court records show he sexually assaulted 3 children between the ages of 7 and 11 as they slept at his Toma home between 2021 and 2024. After he's released, he'll be supervised by the Wisconsin Department of Corrections for 45 years and will be required to register as a sex offender.
A longtime teacher will spend nearly 3 decades in prison after pleading guilty to sex battery. I'm Catherine Silver, your Seminole County community correspondent. Richard Colon learned his fate inside a courtroom here, where a judge said the former Lake Mary High School teacher gambled that he could have sex with a student and get away with it. Gambled that he could decline a deal and end up with less time in prison. Now he will spend 27 plus years behind bars.
I like to start by saying I made a mistake.
Richard Colon called it a mistake, a moment of vulnerability.
Please do not just focus on the worst moment of my life.
But prosecutors and the judge agreed it was much more than that.
This was not a one-time thing. There were numerous secret meetings, numerous secret chats. You do not have sexual relations with the students. He knew that.
Evidence presented in court Monday showcased how Colon's relationship with the student, a teen girl in his history class at Lake Mary High School, started and developed.
The very classroom that he taught her was the same classroom that he sexually battered her.
There wasn't a day, there wasn't a text between the two of them.
Colon was offered a deal at first, 15 years in prison plus probation. But an attorney representing the teen and her family says he didn't take it.
I guess he thought that somehow somebody would buy his story that because she's 17 and he didn't hold her down, that somehow that's a willful participant. I'm so glad the judge didn't buy it, because my client is still suffering from what this teacher did to her.
Colon ended up pleading guilty to 3 counts of sexual battery. His lawyer asked the court for grace.
He's not blaming the victim. He blames himself. He knows better. He knew better.
He was sentenced to more than 27 years.
The one thing that we can trust, supposedly, is our schooling and our teachers for our children. And he violated that.
As part of Colon's sentence, he will also be labeled as a sexual predator. Before he was arrested, he spent decades teaching, 25 years at Lake Mary High School. He was also a soccer coach there. In Seminole County, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
A man is now sentenced after pleading guilty to child pornography charges in Etowah County. As part of the plea deal, Gabe Kittle of Boaz will now serve 3 years in prison and 5 years of supervised probation. He pleaded guilty last October. Investigators served a search warrant at his home on Peach Tree Road. Prosecutors say the evidence included images found on Kittle's phone. Also, under the terms of his plea deal, Kittle is prohibited from having unsupervised access to children and from using social media.
The vice principal of a Catholic school in Waterloo Region has been charged with possessing, making, and distributing what used to be called child pornography, now referred to as child sexual abuse and exploitation material. He's also charged with making sexually explicit material available to a child, invitation to sexual touching, and luring a child. 50-year-old Michel Plot was arrested and charged today. He is listed as the VP at St. Anne's Catholic Elementary School in Kitchener. Police say the charges do not involve any Waterloo Catholic students. The school board says they learned of the charges shortly before they were announced, calling the news distressing. They say they are supporting the students, staff, and families and are cooperating with police as the matter proceeds through the legal system.
That's right, lady. Hang your head in shame. These Catholic priests, teachers, and in this case, vice principals, have been hidden from the public for too long. So let's get his face out there like you guys should have. There he is. This is Michel Plot, a French chomo.
Police in Surrey are warning the public about a high-risk sex offender who poses a significant threat to women and children. 58-year-old Marinus Willems is set to be released this coming Tuesday, February 17th. Surrey police are releasing his photo, letting residents know that he will be living in the city. Willems will be released under several strict conditions, including a 10 p.m. curfew and a ban on weapons and drugs. If you see him breach any of his conditions, you're urged to call 911 immediately.
A District 51 principal was arrested on Valentine's Day. We're learning the Grand Junction Police Department said on Saturday, just before 10 p.m., officers were called to the 400 block of Donegal Drive after a caller said a man was lighting items on fire inside their home. Officers say a verbal argument turned physical, and they arrested 46-year-old Summit School Principal Sean Mulvey. He was arrested on harassment, child abuse, and arson charges. Now, D51 did tell us that Mulvey was placed on administrative leave as standard district protocol. And we checked the Mesa County inmate list, and it seems Mulvey has now bonded out.
Looking at your local military headlines, and we wanted to provide an update on the guilty plea of a U.S. Army captain that was assigned to Fort Sill that we first reported on last week following a general court-martial.
According to a statement released by Fort Sill, Captain Jonathan R. Nichols was convicted pursuant to his pleas of 2 specifications of sexual assault of a child and 1 specification of sexual abuse of a child in violation of Article 120B of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
A military judge sentenced Nichols to be confined for 7 years, to forfeit all pay and allowances, and to be dismissed from the U.S. Army.
A former teacher aide in Kenosha County will be spending the next 50 years in prison.
A judge delivered that sentence for Anna Marie Crocker today. She pled guilty to sex crimes involving 4 young boys. 12 News' Hannah Hilliard has her emotional apology to the victims.
34-year-old Anna Marie Crocker.
I take full responsibility for what has taken place.
A once teacher's aide in Silver Lake, now a convicted child sex offender, in court Tuesday to learn her fate after pleading guilty to multiple crimes.
I am disturbed by the harm and distress along with the trauma that you have to endure. I'm deeply sorry that this has caused confusion, pain, and anger, and that you have to live with this the rest of your lives.
Investigators detailed her sex crimes against 4 young boys during Tuesday's sentencing. One, a 12-year-old she forced to have sex with her. Another, a 14-year-old she lured out of his home to sexually assault.
She couldn't help herself. She was juggling all of these boys at the same time.
A court's order prohibited the recording of the victims and their families, but one mother told the judge, quote, "This person destroyed my son's psyche and loving and caring spirit." That family moving out of state as a result of Crocker's actions. Crocker, a mother of 4 herself, pleading for a lighter sentence.
I'm asking for mercy and compassion, even though I understand the seriousness.
The judge ultimately handing down 51 and a half years of incarceration.
She sought out children, she used children, and she took advantage of children.
Crocker showing little emotion as she now heads to prison for the next half century. Crocker will be in her 80s by the time this sentence runs out. She must also now register as a sex offender for the rest of her life. Reporting in Kenosha, Hannah Hilliard, WISN 12 News.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Lee.
And I'm Keith Kate. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll have those stories coming up. But first tonight, a convicted felon arrested again. This time, she is accused of trying to kidnap 4 children.
And Sheriff Grady Judd says she did it while impersonating a Department of Children and Families employee. News Channel 8's Ryan Arbogast has the story.
Sheriff Grady Judd says it's a crime that is absolutely bizarre and put the lives of 4 children in real danger. He says it's a reminder to all that some people aren't who they say they are.
Get ready. You're going to look good in orange.
The Polk County Sheriff's Office says this is the face of fraud. 56-year-old Nicole Thomas arrested in Lakeland for attempting to kidnap 4 children.
She's a mean woman. She's a criminal. And now she's locked up where she belongs.
Thomas is accused of pretending to work for the Department of Children and Families, showing up to a Polk County home Friday and trying to take one of the children back to his mother. who a court ruled was unfit to be a parent.
And in fact was a danger to the health and welfare of the child. So she was going to do something very, very bad.
An affidavit filed by investigators shows Thomas threatened to take all 4 kids from their babysitter, even calling 911, thinking a deputy would help her commit the crime.
The deputies, of course, did their investigation and found out that, of course, she's not a DCF employee, but she tried to fake her way through it. She's a fraud. She's currently a jailbird.
The true hero here, the sitter, who denied entry to the house and protected the little ones. Sheriff Judd says she's someone everyone would want watching their kids.
She dug in and protected those children as if they were her own children. She was not letting this lady leave with those children.
Thomas also has a slew of prior arrests in Broward County for things like kidnapping and aggravated assault. She's now being held no bond here in Polk County on 7 felony counts. Reporting outside the Polk County Sheriff's Office tonight, Ryan Arbogast, 8 on your side.
Sentenced. Jody Scott Childers pled guilty to criminal sexual conduct with a minor, 2nd degree. That was quick.
A former North Tulsa pastor will now serve at least 13 years after pleading no contest for rape and child abuse. One of the victims, his own daughter.
2 News Oklahoma's Emma Birch was there during that sentencing and spoke with Bailey's daughter about how she's feeling now that her abuser and father is behind bars.
So I'm grateful for that I got justice along with every other victim.
Harmony Oates says her pain is now behind bars after her father, B.M. Bailey, was sentenced to 15 years for sexually assaulting Oates as a child.
And after, I felt relieved because he confessed. He admitted, he was very opened, and it felt genuine, it did.
Oates says she was in the 6th grade when her father started touching her inappropriately. Bailey was a pastor at St. Andrew's Christian Church, but it wasn't until 2024 when Bailey was arrested for the acts. We spoke with Oates after her father was charged with rape and child abuse.
How to set a boundary, but whenever he's your father and whenever he's a pastor and whenever he has this authority and he has a record, it's like, you say no, but what does your no mean?
Now, almost 2 years later, Oates took the stand Tuesday and sat face-to-face with her father with powerful statements. One being, I don't hate you, and I forgive you.
Everybody deserves another chance. I'm a Christian, so if God can give us a second chance, of course I will give you a second chance because he gave me chance after chance after chance after chance, and who am I to not give you that opportunity to see if you've changed?
After taking a plea deal with the state, Bailey received a 15-year sentence and will be on the registered sex offenders list for life. Oates says justice was served.
I believe the plea deal was mutual. The judge did a good decision for letting him at least pay the time for his consequences while yet still being graceful, giving grace.
For Oates, it's now about moving on and repairing the hurt and relationship with her father.
Giving him that door to an opportunity for a healthy father-daughter relationship. See if he's changed. You never know until you give them a chance.
Emma Birch, 2 News Oklahoma.
Bailey's case does fall under the 85% rule. That means Bailey has to serve almost 13 of the 15 years of his sentence before becoming eligible for parole.
New at noon today, Huntsville police tell us a Madison man who was accused of child sexual abuse is in custody. HPD says 39-year-old Hazen Clark Crimpton was arrested after they learned about reports of possible child sexual abuse. Investigators say multiple children were subjected to inappropriate sexual contact while in Crimpton's care. He's now charged with 2 counts of sexual abuse of a child less than 12 and 1 count of sodomy.
That's That's our Hazen, what a shampun. But please don't ask him about a tampon. Yeah, Hazen Crampton!
Thank you, Sophia, for that update. A Lexington man was sentenced to prison for multiple counts of child pornography. That's according to the Rockbridge County Sheriff's Office. Hayden Camden was charged with 20 warrants related to the production, possession, and distribution of child pornography. Camden entered a guilty plea in Rockbridge County Circuit Court. He was sentenced to 31 years in prison with 20 years suspended and will be required to register on the Virginia Sex Offender Registry.
Another horrific case of child abuse has emerged out of northern New Mexico. A Las Vegas man is accused of sexually exploiting his daughters for years. A warning, some may find the details of this story disturbing. News 13's Bianca Hoops reports from Las Vegas.
I'm really wondering, what does it take to keep our children safe? And how, as New Mexicans, do we break this cycle?
Shocking and graphic details outlined in court records describing sexual abuse of two girls as young as 4 and 7 years old. Their father, 43-year-old John Lee, charged with 2 counts of human trafficking. Investigators say from 2012 to 2019, Lee allowed other men to have sex with his daughters in exchange for drugs and money. That includes Jonas Romero, who's accused of sexually penetrating one girl when she was 13 years old. He was arrested today in Rio Rancho. According to court documents, the daughters told investigators the incidents happened in the Las Vegas Walmart parking lot and at his home. After the sexual exchange, the girls say they would be offered a toy from Walmart. Child welfare advocate Marilyn Beck.
It's just so omnipresent how hurt our kids are right now, from child fatalities to we've had just crisis after crisis after headline after crisis.
This is the latest horrific child abuse case to come out this week. 38-year-old Sonia Jimenez is accused of giving birth inside a portable toilet at Burn Lake in Las Cruces Saturday, then disposing her body in the holding tank. Also over the weekend, police say 28-year-old Yalisha Smith set her Albuquerque apartment on fire with her children still inside. Police say they found the children covered in lighter fluid. A judge ruled today she will remain behind bars until trial. Then on Tuesday, San Juan County deputies arrested 43-year-old John Hannon after they say he killed an 11-month-old and burying his body in a shallow grave near Farmington.
We are the most dangerous place in the entire United States for children. We can do better.
Bianca Hoops, KRQE, News 13.
The state filed a pretrial detention motion to keep John Lee locked up until trial. CYFD says they've had no history of investigating him or his children.
Knoxville man sentenced to 3 decades in prison after he was convicted of aggravated sexual battery. 48-year-old Jarrett Simoneau was convicted on 3 counts of aggravated sexual battery. Prosecutors asked the court for consecutive sentences, and the judge agreed, ordering him to serve 30 years in prison without parole. Court records state Simoneau molested the victim when they were 4 years old, continuing the abuse until the victim turned 12. In 2021, the victim told their parents, and the Knoxville Police Department began investigating when Simoneau admitted to abusing the child.
I felt like I failed my child, but I also felt how many other kids I saved. So it's mixed feelings.
A Memphis mom says that she reached out for help with her teenage son. Instead, she says he came face to face with 2 men who took advantage of him. One of the men, DeMarcus Smith, has been federally convicted and sentenced. The other one, Martinez Tyler, now in the custody for state charges. Fox 13's investigative reporter Kayla Solomon joins us live tonight. Kayla, this is a story that's really been months in the making.
Yeah, Darcy, I sat down with that mother last summer just as we were waiting for DeMarcus Smith to be sentenced for federal child sex crimes for a second time. But at that time, Martinez Tyler had not been indicted or charged with any crimes. But last week, that all changed.
He liked doing graphic design, and the guy has a business. So he used to take him to the business to print out things, help him get little orders together. He liked it that.
A mother who Fox 13 will not be identifying says her son's life was changed forever after he began working at Martinius Tyler's print shop.
I thought that was good for him because that's what he wanted to do. And that's when he met Mr. Smith.
She said she never met DeMarcus Smith in person, but she found out who he was after going through her son's phone.
And I opened it up. My heart shattered.
She found nude photos and sexual conversations and reported it to police. She soon found out Smith was already a registered sex offender. In 2015, he pled guilty to possession of child pornography. Prosecutors say he coerced a boy to send sexually explicit photos of himself. At the time, Fox 13 reported Smith was a pastor at Oak Hill Missionary Baptist Church. He served just over 7 years in federal prison. After his release in 2023, Smith went back to preaching at another local church, Jordan River Missionary Baptist. Fox 13 found this post from June 2024, a flyer promoting Reverend DeMarcus Smith as the Sunday speaker. Then this post from September 2024, showing Smith on a clergy appreciation celebration service. He pleaded guilty to new sex charges involving that woman's son less than a year later and was sentenced to 30 years in prison.
It wasn't enough time because I don't think it's enough time in the world to give somebody for a crime like this.
Now, a second person indicted on human trafficking and aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. Martinius Tyler, the owner of the print shop where Smith met the victim, and according to Facebook posts, a pastor and elder at the same church where Smith preached.
I trusted you to help me help him. And this is what you think, this how you thank me, this how you return the favor. You abused your power and manipulated children. And it wasn't fair.
Tyler was officially indicted last week and taken into custody over the weekend. He's currently in jail with a bail amount of $200,000. Darcy?
That is Fox 13's Kayla Solomon reporting. Thank you so much, Kayla.
New at noon, Gastonia police say a wanted man out of Fort Worth, Texas, is now off the streets. Officers arrested Brian Robles in Gastonia. Police say he was wanted for statutory rape of a child and worked with the Carolinas Regional Fugitive Task Force to make the arrest.
This man has been sentenced to 25 years in prison after he inappropriately touched an 8-year-old child and filmed it. The Washoe County DA's office says the father of the victim found a video on David Fritsch Jr.'s phone of him pulling the child's pants down while she slept. Officials say he will be eligible for parole after 10 years.
A Poplar Grove man who's already serving time for possession of child porn will spend even more time in prison. David Cardenas was sentenced to 26 years behind bars. In November, the 35-year-old pleaded guilty to predatory sexual assault of a child and criminal sexual assault. Cardenas was arrested in July of 2023. During an interview with police, he admitted to abusing 2 4-year-old children at a Rockford home.
Now, the Boone County Coroner's Office identifies the 83-year-old pilot killed in a small plane crash. The Boone County Coroner's Office say Rockford man Richard McClung crashed his plane into a home in Poplar Grove Saturday afternoon. The Illinois State Police list McClung on the sex offender registry. He was registered in 2007 and convicted in 2014 of aggravated criminal sexual abuse of a 6-year-old. An ongoing lawsuit accuses McClung of also abusing an 8-year-old girl when he was a counselor to the bishop position with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
A pastor at a Hazlitt Church and Christian school says his sex offender son will no longer work on campus after parents found out about his criminal past.
Caleb Crawford has been a registered sex offender since 2018. His father is Pastor Eric Crawford of Heritage Baptist Church. He says he's allowed his son to lead music and work on an independent contractor role on the campus for several years. Fox 4's Amelia Jones spoke to some of the school's parents. Amelia.
Heather, Steve, some parents tell me they've already pulled their children out of the private Christian school because of this news. Others are calling for an overhaul of the church and school's leadership after learning that about the pastor's son and how he is a registered sex offender. These parents at Hazlitt Community Park came here for their children to express concern for their safety at school, Heritage Christian Academy.
It's very upsetting. It's enraging.
The school is part of Heritage Baptist Church, led by Pastor Eric Crawford. Parents say they just recently discovered that the pastor's son, Caleb Crawford, is a convicted sex offender. The church says he's led music and performed maintenance work on campus. Ryan Gunderson and Danny Jo Gunderson say they discovered Caleb's rap sheet online. They say they're upset with the pastor's decision.
He's supposed to be in a position where he is taking care of the church members and the school members and all these kids in the school, and he is putting them all in harm's way, or at least potential.
According to court and government records, Caleb Crawford was indicted on charges of indecency with a child by sexual contact in 2016. The victim was a 12-year-old girl. He was sentenced to prison, then forced to register as a sex offender for life. The Department of Public Safety lists him as a moderate risk level, which is defined by law as a moderate risk to reoffend.
If somebody would have told us about this 4 years ago when we were going to enroll, we would have never put our kids there.
The Gundersons have 3 kids at the private Christian school. They've since pulled them out. They alerted other parents like Chris and Marlene Bailey.
As parents, we put them in a private school because we figured that would be the safest place for them. We entrusted them.
Pastor Eric Crawford declined an interview with Fox 4 and directed us to a statement posted on the school's Facebook page Monday. It shared that his son did not have any responsibility or authority over the students and that he will no longer lead music or do maintenance work. The Baileys met with the principal Tuesday morning. They say if their kids are going to stay, they want the leadership to change.
Our children should be number one. That should be number one priority, not protecting your own child that should not be around children.
The parents told us they reached out to Fort Worth Police for help, but Fort Worth Police did not get back to us about any possible involvement. As far as we know, there have not been any reports of sexual misconduct at the school or any incidents involving Caleb Crawford. We attempted to reach out to Caleb Crawford himself for a statement or comment, but we did not hear back. Heather, Steve.
All right, Amelia Jones, thank you.
A man is facing charges after police say he kidnapped and sexually assaulted a teenager. State police say on Saturday the teen was longboarding near her home in Rio Rancho when 34-year-old Ruben Dario Gonzalez approached her claiming to be an Uber driver sent by her father. Police say Gonzalez drove her around and told her to smoke marijuana, then sexually assaulted her twice. The next day, APD responded to a gas station where the juvenile was able to call police and told them she had been kidnapped. Police arrested Gonzalez.
Well, Jean, before handing down the sentence, the judge calling this an avoidable crime, saying that Crystal Bayard had multiple opportunities to either prevent or tell somebody about the child's sexual abuse. After a 5-day trial, a jury found Crystal Bayard guilty of aiding and abetting the production of child sexual abuse material. According to court documents, the Keene woman and her husband were babysitting a 9-year-old child in 2024 when the child was given THC-infused candy. Prosecutors say at that point, Crystal directed her husband, Paul, to sexually abuse the child. Paul then took at least one sexually explicit picture of the child. Crystal is then said to have photographed Paul assaulting the victim, the defense arguing that Crystal herself was a victim of significant prolonged abuse. According to the prosecution, the couple had been drugging and abusing the victim since at least August of 2023. Before her arrest, Crystal was a licensed child care provider. Bayard's husband was a bus driver. He was also accused of uploading at least 3 sexually explicit pictures of the child and putting it on the dark web. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison back in June. For now, we're live here in Concord. Maria Wilson, WMUR News 9.
One out of Winterville, where a 19-year-old is now behind bars facing child sex crimes. 19-year-old Christopher Tyndall was arrested on Tuesday. Arrest warrants say Tyndall is accused of exploiting and engaging in sexual activity with a child who was around 7 years old. Tyndall is charged with first-degree statutory rape, first-degree sexual exploitation of a minor, and indecent liberties with a child. He was taken to the Pitt County Detention Center, where he remains under no bond. His first court appearance is set for Wednesday.
A man is accused of sexually assaulting a woman in the Humboldt Park neighborhood. Arthur White allegedly attacked the 29-year-old on January 12th in an alley near Hirsch and Lawndale. The alleged assault was captured on surveillance video, and prosecutors say while White was in custody, he was confronted with video showing the assault. They say at that time he covered his head with a jacket. White had also been arrested on January 20th, accused of misdemeanor battery against another woman and failing to report as a sex offender.
Well, tonight, a Guadalupe County man is once again facing prison time. A jury in Comal County finding him guilty of 19 counts of sexual crimes against children.
News 4 San Antonio's Destiny Fuller was in the courtroom as witnesses testified. She joins us now with details about this disturbing case.
Yeah, parents whose children were sexually assaulted by Jared Gaines Kirkus were in court when the verdict came down today. Many of them relieved he was found guilty on all counts. Now they're hoping his sentence will be enough to keep him behind bars.
Them coming out with a good verdict would be better right now, knowing that we will be safe, not having to worry about if he gets out and comes and chases after us.
A years-long process coming to a head in the Comal County Courthouse today. 42-year-old Jared Gaines Kirkus convicted on 19 charges, including sexual assault of a child, child trafficking, child pornography, and online solicitation of a minor. And it's not the first time.
Just one person, that would be too many, because it's somebody's children. Today we were in court with a predator who had already been convicted and served time and was back out and caused more harm.
Kirkus has been charged with sex crimes more than 8 times in Bexar and Comal counties combined. Those arrests dating back to 2003. One parent took the stand today explaining the daily struggles his child faces after surviving Kirkus's assaults. While our cameras weren't allowed in the courthouse, we caught up to him outside.
It's really tough to deal with this. My kid was literally raped by a guy, and there's nothing I could do about it.
We also spoke with family advocate and founder of Meant to Soar, Elsa Eswell. She supported the families and children affected throughout this process.
This is just a dad, and he can be any dad. No one ever thinks this is going to happen to them.
Elizabeth Spaeth is Rodney's child's mother. She was arrested with Kirkus in Live Oak back in 2023 after reportedly putting her then 6-year-old child in contact with him and recording the assault. That video was played for the jury in court.
It is just pure evil. And I went numb, I guess, because it hit a point where you just can't keep thinking about it. It's done. It's very, very bad.
The jury will take their seats for what's expected to be the final time tomorrow morning for sentencing. Rodney and others will also take the stand to give victim impact statements directly to Kirkus. We'll bring you an update on their final decision. Destiny Fuller, News 4, San Antonio.
Michael Lee Schisler is a sexually violent predator currently living in Denver. He's 56 years old and was born on February 14, 1970. He's a white male, 5 feet 11 inches tall, 225 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. He's currently living as a transient near the 1900 block of 29th Street in the Five Points neighborhood of Denver. Schools located within 1 mile of this offender. Denver School of Science and Technology, Cole Middle. Parks located within 1 mile of this offender. Stout Street Children's Park, Commons Park. Quick. A brief history of sex offense-related convictions for this offender. Indecent exposure. Attempted sexual assault on a child, position of trust, victim 15 to 18. And attempted sexual assault on a child, criminal attempt. He's currently on parole and last registered with the Denver Police Department on February 14, 2026, as a transient living near the 1900 block of 29th Street in the Five Points neighborhood of Denver.
Welcome back, everyone. A 36-year-old registered sex offender was arrested for indecent exposure after he exposed himself at a bookstore in Las Cruces. Court documents say employees have a picture of Matthew Lopez labeled as the Flasher because of previous incidents at Coas bookstore on North Main Street. Documents say Lopez walked into the store and an employee recognized him. The employee told police she saw a hole in Lopez's shorts and saw his genital area. He was booked without bond.
Why is it always the bookstore?
A former Powhatan County employee charged with child sex abuse was found guilty in court today. And 8 News reporter Mariah Jalad was in that courtroom when the verdict came down. And Mariah, what did the defendant have to say about this?
Well, Eric, former county emergency manager James Babcock took the stand today and acknowledged that the sexual relationship he had with a 16-year-old was wrong, but argued he did not have a custodial role over the child at that time, an argument the judge ultimately disagreed with. Babcock was charged with 5 counts of indecent acts with a child in a custodial role, stemming from a relationship that began in March 2017. The victim testifying they met Babcock when he was a first responder to a 911 call after the victim attempted suicide. At the time, the victim was 15 and Babcock was around 27. Both the victim and Babcock testified that a relationship grew from that meeting, with Babcock wanting to be like a mentor toward the victim who was dealing with mental and behavioral issues. The victim later began living with Babcock and their relationship became sexual soon after. The victim testified sexual encounters often took place in county rescue buildings, even once in an ambulance. And all that time, Babcock paid most of the victim's bills and oversaw them getting to school. The judge ultimately ruled those were all actions a guardian would take. Commonwealth's attorney Robert Cerullo acknowledged the outpouring of support for Babcock, who he called a pillar of the community, but who still made a mistake and took advantage of a minor. Babcock and his defense attorney declined to comment. Babcock likely faces a sentence between about 2 to 5 years, with a sentencing set for April.
I find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in each of these cases. I am following these agreements. And you are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 10 years on each of these cases, which shall run concurrently. It's a terrible set of circumstances. And again, of course, the court is basing its decision on what do we value the innocence of children on. And in the United States of America, it's of highest interest.
One upstate man who sexually assaulted a minor will now spend 2 decades in prison. Curtis Meadows Jr. pleaded guilty to criminal sexual conduct with a minor. Officials say he admitted to knowing the victim was underage. Meadows must register as a sex offender when he gets.
2 people are arrested after deputies say they found drugs, guns, and child pornography in their home. The Meigs County Sheriff's Office saying they searched a home after getting a warrant, searched that home in Racine. And it belongs to these 2, Woodrow Richards and Margaret Hall. Inside that home, deputies say they ended up finding a large amount of meth and fentanyl. Deputies say they also found child pornography on electronic devices inside that home. Deputies say 3 children were there when they arrived, so they ended up contacting Child Protective Services.
And that breaking news is in Seminole County, where a teacher is now in jail.
Deputies say she had an inappropriate relationship with a former student. West 2's Michelle Meredith live outside the school where she taught with the late-breaking details. Michelle.
Well, the way the report reads, the former student did not want to have sex with his former high school teacher, but that eventually he broke down. On Monday, Mackenzie McLean was one of many teachers at a magnet school called Crooms Academy in Sanford. But now she's one of many inmates at the Seminole County Jail, accused of having sex with a former student, as well as supplying him and other students with drugs. According to the arrest report, the student was once a senior at the school and alleges that McLean groomed him by continuously providing him with alcohol until he gave in and allowed her to use him sexually. According to investigators, the former student began to live with Mackenzie when she found out he was having family issues and that at first he looked at her as a mother figure. As time went on, the report says her obsession with him got to the point where she would not stop screaming until he allowed her to sleep in his bed. The arrest affidavit also says the teacher befriended a student, a girl, and that McLean allegedly gave her alcohol, weed, Adderall, nicotine vapes when she was only 16 years old. Parents we talked to were shocked. They thought very highly of McLean.
That is so weird because my son has been going to the theater club for 3 years in a row and never. I went to those activities. I participate as a mom, and I never see that kind of, behavior from that teacher. To the contrary, she was so professional. So I don't know what happened.
Now, the Seminole County School District says they have placed the teacher on administrative leave. They went on to say that any allegations of misconduct by our staff will be taken seriously and handled quickly. The safety of our students and staff is our highest priority, and any type of behavior that jeopardizes that safety will not be tolerated. Live in Seminole County, Michelle Meredith, West 2 News.
The St. John Police Force said it received information from a long-term care facility last week that has led to an investigation of alleged sexual offenses at the location. A memo from Loch Lomond Villa was sent to the families of residents on Friday, saying the administration had become aware of a serious situation at the village that had become a police investigation. St. John Police say the family members of 12 residents have been notified about the investigation and that there's a possibility that there will be more families notified in the future. The age of the victims range from their 70s to their 90s. Police say a suspect has been identified but did not provide additional information of any pending charges on Tuesday. Police say the suspect is not a resident nor a staff member. Health Minister Dr. John Dornan was asked about the investigation today at an unrelated announcement but did not share any information.
I can confirm that the residents that are there are safe, that they're not at risk of further violations.
In a statement, Loch Lomond Villa CEO Ashley King says existing safety protocols remain in place and additional measures have been implemented, including the presence of an on-site security company. Loch Lomond Villa continues to review and strengthen procedures to support resident safety. Cecile Casista is the executive director of the Coalition for Seniors and Nursing Home Residents' Rights.
But we're talking about people that are vulnerable, that basically are not able to speak for themselves. And it's so sad when these kinds of things happen. I'm really pleased that the home did reveal or make it open, because I'm a firm believer that if it had gone directly to social development, I don't think we'd know as much as we know today.
The Department of Social Development did not have any comment today except to say it was an ongoing investigation. St. John Police say a dedicated phone line has been established for families of affected residents so they can speak directly to an investigator.
Correction now on a story about a man charged with sex crimes against children. Seth Pollock remains in the New Hanover County Jail. He has not bonded out. Pollock is accused of having videos of children involved in sexual acts. He's charged with 10 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. He's in jail on a $110,000 bond.
Is advised.
Kids alone. When a child experiences trauma, they can be stripped of their ability to imagine. But imagination is colors. All the colors. Imagination is freedom. And whatever you want it to be. But a child without imagination is not a child at all. Will you help defend our right to imagine?